They stormed into my office like a pair of angry hurricanes, dragging all their shame behind them. My mother's voice was the first to slice through the calm of the lobby, loud enough to make the receptionist drop her coffee. "You ruined this family," she screamed, pointing a trembling finger at me from across the marble floor. My coworkers froze, mouths half open, eyes darting away. My boss stepped out of his office, confusion darkening his brow. And that was the moment my entire life burned to the ground. People call me Riley. And from wherever you're watching this, don't look away. Tell me, have you ever been punished for refusing to bleed for people who only know how to take? My father slammed the glass door so hard it rattled. "Your brother is on the street because of you," he shouted. "You want to see your own flesh and blood homeless? You think that makes you a good person?" I forced my shoulders to stay straight, even as the humiliation clawed through my chest. "He's 30, I answered, voice barely steady.
"He had a job."
"He lost it. Again." Mom threw her hands in the air, hysterical. "Because he's sensitive, Riley. You know that. He can't handle all that pressure." My boss, Mr. Grant, took a cautious step forward. "Is there a problem here?" My father turned on him like a snake. "Our daughter is a traitor," he spat. "She's keeping our money away from family. She owes us." Mr. Grant blinked, stunned. "Her paycheck is hers," he said carefully. But Mom lunged forward, grabbing the edge of my desk. "She owes us everything," she shrieked. "We raised her, and she will pay for her brother's rent, or she can forget about calling herself our daughter." The entire floor had gone silent. Phones left ringing. Screens frozen. I tasted acid, my hands trembling. "You want my whole paycheck?" I asked, barely breathing. Dad sneered. "All of it. You earn because of us. Don't forget where you came from." I looked into their eyes, seeing strangers where family should have been. My boss touched my arm gently. "You don't have to do this," he whispered. I took one shaky breath, planted my feet, and told the truth for the first time in years. "No," I said. "Never again." And as my parents stood there, mouths falling open in horror, my brother walked in behind them, a smirk on his face that made my skin crawl. My brother strolled through the doorway like he owned the place, hands shoved deep in his torn hoodie, that smug grin making my stomach twist. "Nice office," he said, voice dripping sarcasm. "Must be pretty cozy, hoarding all that money while your family suffers." I clenched my jaw, heat rising in my face. "Family doesn't hold me hostage, Owen," I snapped. "Family doesn't barge into my job demanding my paycheck." Mom whipped around on me, eyes flashing with betrayal. "How dare you talk to your brother like that? He is blood." I let out a bitter laugh, too hollow to sound real. "Blood? Blood is a drain in this family, apparently." My brother's grin turned feral. "You always thought you were better than us," he hissed. "Acting like you're a princess with your salary and your fancy little job." My boss cleared his throat, uneasy. "Is there a reason you're here?" he asked, trying to keep things professional, though I could see the discomfort all over his face. Dad stepped forward, towering over my boss, pointing at me like I was on trial. "She's abandoning her brother. We gave her everything she has, and now she wants to watch him suffer?" I swallowed, hands trembling but steady enough to hold my ground. "You gave me guilt, Dad," I said. "You gave me fear. I built everything else by myself." My mother let out a broken, high-pitched laugh, tears smearing her mascara. "You think you're too good for us? You'd leave your brother in the gutter?" My brother shoved closer, voice dropping low. "Hand over your paycheck, Riley," he growled, "or I swear I'll tell everyone here what you really are." A chill ran through me. "What I really am?" I repeated, forcing my breathing to stay slow. "What is that, Owen?"
"Tell them."
"Go ahead." His eyes darted around, suddenly unsure. Mr. Grant stepped between us, his voice calm but final. "That's enough. If you keep threatening my employee, I'll have security escort you out." My parents turned on him in unison, outraged. "You have no right to." He held up a hand. "I have every right. This is my business, and you will not terrorize Riley here." For the first time, I felt a spark of courage, seeing someone stand for me when I'd never stood for myself. Owen's eyes narrowed, ice cold. "You'll regret this," he spat. I lifted my chin, stronger than I'd ever been. "We'll see," I answered, my voice slicing through the silence. And just then, my phone lit up with a message that made my heart stop cold. My phone buzzed, screen flashing with a text from an unknown number. "If you don't pay up, I'll make sure you lose everything." My stomach dropped. I looked from the screen to Owen, whose grin had stretched even wider. He'd never learned consequences, never tasted a day of real work, and here he was blackmailing me without a hint of shame. Mr. Grant leaned closer, voice tight. "Do you need us to call security or even the police?" I hesitated, the word police ringing in my ears. I'd spent my whole life trying to keep our family business out of public view, terrified of letting strangers see our dysfunction. But maybe that was exactly why they thought they could get away with this. I shook my head slowly. "No," I said, voice quiet but steady. "Not yet." Mom stepped forward, crocodile tears rolling down her cheeks. "Riley, please," she wailed, putting on the same cracked performance she'd always used to keep me in line. "He'll be on the street. We'll be the laughingstock of the whole neighborhood." My heart hardened like poured concrete. "Then maybe you should have raised him to stand on his own," I shot back. Her mouth fell open in horror. "How can you talk to your mother that way?" Dad stepped in, voice a poisonous whisper. "If you leave him to starve, you're no child of mine." I held my ground, refusing to let the tremble show. "Then I guess I was never yours to begin with." Owen took a step closer, eyes flashing mean. "I swear, I will ruin you," he spat. Mr. Grant straightened, arms folded across his crisp suit. "That's enough," he said firmly. "You need to leave. Now." Owen laughed, a low, humorless sound. "She can't hide behind you forever," he sneered. Mr. Grant didn't flinch. "She doesn't have to hide. She works here. She earned this." The rage on my parents' faces twisted into something unrecognizable. I looked at each of them, willing them to see it. I was done. Mom's voice cracked one last time. "Riley, think about what you're doing." I met her stare. No apologies left. I said. "For the first time, I am thinking about what I'm doing." As they backed away, disgust and panic all over their faces, Owen's phone buzzed. He checked it, eyes going wide, and then glared straight at me. Owen's face shifted from smug to furious in the space of a heartbeat. He held up his phone, shaking it like a weapon. "You canceled my lease payment?" he shouted, voice cracking. "I just got the notice. They're going to evict me." My breath caught, but I didn't flinch. "I told the landlord I wouldn't guarantee your rent anymore," I said calmly, though inside my chest was pounding. "I'm done bailing you out." Mom's hands flew to her face in horror. "You monster," she gasped. "How could you do this to your own brother?" I swallowed, feeling the familiar pull of their guilt trip, that trap that had kept me tied to them for years. But this time I didn't step in. "He's a grown man," I said firmly. "He can figure it out." Owen's lip curled, pure hate dripping from every syllable. "You're going to watch me live on the street? You'll let your own blood sleep on a sidewalk." I took a shaky breath, forcing the truth through my fear. "I will watch you finally learn something, Owen," I said, voice breaking but steady. "Because as long as I keep rescuing you, you will never change." Dad slammed his fist on the reception counter, making the pen cup jump. "You've always been selfish," he snarled. "Always." I turned to him, heartbreak shining through my resolve. "If wanting my own peace makes me selfish, then fine," I whispered. "Call me selfish." My boss stepped closer, voice calm but iron strong. "This is a workplace," he said. "If you can't respect her boundaries, you'll be removed." Mom wiped her eyes with trembling hands. "Riley," she sobbed, "you're destroying this family." I exhaled, the poison of those words leaving me for good. "Maybe this family needed to be destroyed," I replied softly, "if it means saving myself." Owen lunged forward, eyes wild, but security finally stepped in, two uniformed men grabbing his arms before he could reach me. He thrashed, cursing, spitting, until they dragged him backward through the lobby, the doors hissing shut behind him. Silence flooded the room. Mr. Grant put a gentle hand on my shoulder. "You don't have to explain," he said quietly. I nodded, letting the relief wash over me. But deep down, I knew this wasn't the end. My family didn't know how to let go, and they would come for me again. And as the first calm tears slipped down my cheeks, my phone lit up one more time with a new number I didn't recognize. My hands trembled as I lifted the phone, the unknown number blinking like a thread on the screen. I swallowed hard and answered, bracing for the next round. "Riley." The voice was quiet.
Male.
"Careful. Not Owen." "Who is this?" I asked, fighting to keep my voice level. A sigh came through the line, raw and exhausted. "It's Mark," he said. "Your cousin."
Mark.
I hadn't heard his voice in years, not since he moved away to get out of the family web himself. "I heard what happened," he continued. "Owen's trying to drag the entire family against you. Mom called me crying, said you were tearing them apart." I felt my throat tighten, the old shame trying to creep back in. "I'm just trying to survive," I said, voice cracking. "I can't keep paying for him, Mark. I can't." He paused, then sighed again. "You shouldn't have to. I told them that. They don't listen." For a moment, the tears nearly spilled. "I thought they'd stop eventually," I admitted. "That they'd see what they were doing to me." "They won't," Mark said gently. "They only know how to take." My knees nearly buckled, and I sank down into my desk chair, breathing hard. "They showed up here, Mark. At my job. In front of my boss." "I'm sorry," he said, a note of grief in his voice. "That's what they do. If you don't bleed for them, they'll make you look like the villain." I let out a shaky laugh, half sob. Too late. They called me a traitor in front of everyone. Mark was quiet for a moment. "You know you aren't the villain, right?" I swallowed hard, the truth settling like a stone. "Yeah," I said. "I think I finally know." He hesitated. "If you need somewhere to go," he offered, "you can come here. I have a spare room." No strings attached. My chest tightened with relief, so sharp it hurt. "Thank you," I whispered.
He paused.
"You might have to block their numbers, Riley. They won't stop." I nodded even though he couldn't see me. "Yeah," I breathed. "I will." For the first time, I felt a sliver of safety crack open inside me. I ended the call, exhaled, and looked up at the ceiling, letting the fluorescent lights blur into something almost peaceful. And outside the glass doors of the office, I saw Mom's car still idling, waiting, watching, refusing to let me go. I stayed at my desk, frozen, watching Mom's car through the tinted glass. She wasn't moving, just sitting there, engine running, like a predator waiting for its prey to slip up. My phone buzzed again. Another voicemail. Another demand. Another threat hidden behind the syrupy edge of her voice.
"Come outside, Riley.
We just want to talk." My heart clenched, every muscle in my body fighting the familiar command to obey, to fix, to please. But I stayed rooted. Mr. Grant stepped over, concern softening the lines on his face. "Do you want me to walk you out?" I shook my head. "No," I said, voice steady. "They need to see I'm not afraid." He hesitated. "Okay," he said, but stood close anyway, a silent wall of support. I took a deep breath, grabbed my purse, and pushed through the lobby doors. The moment the glass swung open, Mom jumped out of the car, face twisted in desperate anger. "Riley," she called, rushing toward me. "Please don't do this. Think about your brother." I stopped in the middle of the walkway, forcing myself to meet her eyes. "I am thinking," I told her, breathing hard. "For the first time, I'm thinking about me." Her mouth fell open, stunned. "You would let him be homeless?" I swallowed, tears burning at the corners of my eyes. "If that's what it takes for him to grow up, yes." Her hand flew to her chest as if I'd stabbed her. "I didn't raise you to be this cruel." A bitter laugh escaped before I could stop it. "You didn't raise me to be strong, either," I said, voice breaking. "But I had to learn." Owen stepped out of the passenger side, face red with rage. You think you won, Riley? He spat. You think you're better than us? My pulse spiked, but I stood tall. No, I answered. I think I'm done with you. He advanced, fists clenched, but Mom grabbed his arm, pulling him back. Don't, she hissed. Not here. Their car idled behind them, a rolling prison they were trying to drag me back into. I felt a strange lightness in my chest, even as fear pulsed through me. I was free and they knew it. Mom's tears turned to rage again. If you walk away now, you are dead to this family. I met her stare, letting every scar show, every fracture finally stand in the sun. Then bury me, I whispered. And with that, I turned and walked away, leaving them screaming behind me as the glass door slid shut. The world felt painfully bright after I left them behind, sunlight bouncing off car hoods, people chatting on the sidewalk, life just moving on while my own family fell apart in the parking lot. I kept walking, refusing to look back, my shoes tapping a steady rhythm that almost felt like a heartbeat returning to my chest. Inside, a voice kept whispering, "They're going to come after you again. They always do." But another voice, stronger this time, answered, "Let them try." When I reached the bus stop, I sat down on the cold metal bench, clutching my purse like a shield. My phone was still buzzing, voicemail after voicemail, each one a new slice of guilt. "Riley, you're destroying us. How can you live with yourself? He's your brother." My hands trembled, but I didn't press play. Across the street, a little girl was laughing, chasing bubbles through the breeze. Her mother watched with a soft smile, arms wide to catch her. I felt a hollow pang deep inside, a life I'd never had, but maybe could build for myself one day. The bus hissed to a stop. I stepped on, breathing the stale, warm air, finding a seat near the window. As the city rolled by, I finally powered down my phone completely. No more guilt. No more demands. No more being the family's puppet. I closed my eyes, letting the sunlight wash over my face, letting the gentle rocking of the bus calm the frantic pulse in my veins. Maybe tomorrow I'd take Mark up on his offer, crash at his place for a while, start fresh. Maybe I'd find a way to build a home without conditions, without threats, without pretending. I didn't have all the answers, but for the first time, I didn't feel crushed by the question. Somewhere deep inside, I even felt a spark of something reckless and bright, hope. I opened my eyes, catching my reflection in the window. I barely recognized the woman staring back, strong and unbroken. And as the bus pulled away from everything I'd ever feared, I let myself smile. The bus rattled down the long boulevard, each passing block stripping away another layer of fear I'd worn since childhood. I leaned my head against the window, breathing in the simple, beautiful quiet of nobody demanding anything from me. When I finally stepped off near Mark Street, my knees went a little weak. The old apartment building looked worn but safe, its brick walls weathered by years, not by anger. Mark opened the door before I could even knock, his face drawn but kind. "You okay?" he asked. I nodded, even though my voice nearly broke. "Yeah," I whispered. "I'm okay." He stepped aside, giving me space. "This is yours for as long as you need it," he said. "No conditions." I let out a shaky breath. No conditions. 2 words that felt like a miracle. Inside, the apartment smelled like fresh coffee and paint. Mark had cleared a corner room, a small bed made up with new sheets, a little flower pot in the window. I sat on the edge of the bed, letting tears finally come. They weren't tears of guilt or defeat, but release, like my heart was learning to beat again. Mark stood in the doorway. "They'll try to pull you back," he warned gently. I wiped my face, looking up with a quiet strength I didn't know I had. "I won't go," I said. "They can't buy me with guilt anymore." He smiled. "Good." The night settled around me, calm and protective. I lay back, breathing in the softness of a place that felt safe for the first time in forever. Tomorrow, I'd start over. I'd find a place of my own, start a life on my own terms, even if it took years. But tonight, I'd sleep without flinching. And for the first time in my life, I believed I was worth defending. I looked around the room, every piece of it mine, even if just for a while. No more secrets. No more shame. No more debt I could never repay. Only peace. I closed my eyes, letting the quiet wrap me up, and made a promise to myself. I will never be theirs to break again.